At some point, most people who've struggled with consistency land on the same conclusion. If I could just get motivated, properly motivated, I'd be able to stick to this. And it makes sense because motivation feels like the missing piece. When you have it, everything clicks. You train good, you eat well, you feel good. When it's gone, everything falls apart. So the natural response is to chase it. Watch a video that fires you up. Find a new program. Set a new goal. Wait until January. Wait until after the holiday. Wait until life calms down. And then motivation does arrive, you go all in, and 6 weeks later, you're back in the same place again. So here's what I want you to consider. What if motivation isn't the missing piece? What if the whole idea that you need to feel motivated to get in shape, be consistent, is actually the thing that's been keeping you stuck? I learned this the hard way, and in this video I'm going to show you what I figured out and what actually works instead. A few years back I was training for the Edinburgh Marathon. I was 26, working full-time as a personal trainer, and on top of everything else, I was running 5 or 6 times a week in marathon prep, and on paper I was motivated. I'd signed up for the race, I had a goal, I had a plan. The motivation was there. But here's what was actually missing underneath that. I was under eating because I thought being lighter would me faster. I was training twice a day some days, running in the morning, gym in the afternoon, because I felt like I needed to do more. My energy was not great, my strength was dropping, and I was getting leaner, definitely, but feeling weaker, more tired, less like myself. The motivation that had felt so strong at the start, it was quietly disappearing. Every session started to feel like something I had to drag myself through, rather than something I actually wanted to do. I was going through the motions, showing up because I'd committed to this race, not because I actually wanted to be running all the time. The turning point came when I saw photos from a holiday around that time. I'd expected to feel good about how I looked, and don't get me wrong, I was very lean, probably the leanest I've ever been. I was training constantly, but what I actually saw was someone who looked quite gaunt and exhausted. Almost. I'd lost muscle, I'd spent years building, and I looked at it. And I remember sitting with that and thinking, I've been motivated this entire time. I signed up for the event, I showed up to every session, I followed the plan, and I still wasn't quite feeling like myself. Because motivation had driven me to do too much, eat too little, and ignore every signal my body was sending me that something wasn't right. Motivation without the right structure underneath doesn't produce good results. It just produces more of the wrong thing, but at a faster pace. After the marathon, I rebuilt a lot of things. Bumped my calories back up, dropped the running volume, got back into a proper structured gym routine, and almost immediately energy returned. Strength came back. I actually enjoyed training again. And it wasn't because I found more motivation, because I'd stopped relying on motivation and built a structure that worked regardless of how I felt on a given day. And that's the shift. And it changed how I coach my clients I work with too. So here's the truth about motivation that nobody really wants to hear. I mean, motivation is an emotion, and like every emotion, it comes and goes. You can't control when it arrives, you can't force it to stay, and you absolutely cannot build a long-term fitness approach on top of something that unreliable. Think about your own experience. How many times have you felt genuinely motivated, signed up for something, bought the program, started strong, and then the motivation starts to fade within a few weeks? And it's not because you're weak, not because you don't want it enough, but because that's just what motivation does. It spikes and then it fades. The problem is that most people's entire approach depends on that spike. The new program starts because of a motivation spike. The strict diet starts because of a motivation spike. The 5 sessions a week commitment starts because of that motivation spike. And when that starts to fade, which it always does, there's nothing underneath to hold it in place. So everything just collapses. And then people wait for the next spike to start again, whether that's January, a holiday booking, a photo that bothers them, the next spike arrives, and then they go all in, it fades, everything again collapses, and the cycle just keeps going. So here's the reframe I want you to sit with. Motivation is useful for getting started. It's completely useless for staying consistent. And if you've been waiting to feel motivated before you do something, you've been waiting for the wrong thing. What keeps people consistent isn't motivation, it's structure. It's a system small enough and simple enough that it runs even on days when you don't feel like it. Even on the tired days, the busy days, the days when the last thing you want to do is go to the gym. Motivation is that spark, structure is the engine, and you can't run an engine on sparks alone. So what does structure actually look like in practice? I call this the consistency stack. There's 3 layers that work together to keep you on track regardless of how motivated you feel on any given day. So layer 1, an absolute non-negotiable minimum. This is the floor, the absolute minimum you commit to regardless of what's happening in your life. For most people I work with, that's 3 training sessions per week. Not the ideal week, it's the worst week. The week where work is chaotic, sleep is off, energy's low. What can you still protect in that week? 3 sessions is usually the answer. And the key word is protect. These aren't optional. They're not conditional on feeling motivated. They just happen. Like a work meeting or a school run, it's a non-negotiable. When you've got a non-negotiable minimum, a bad week stops being a reason to stop. It just becomes a week where you hit your minimum and just keep going. Layer 2, decisions made in advance. So one of the biggest reasons motivation feels necessary is that without it, making decisions is hard. What to eat, when to train, what the session looks like. Every micro decision takes energy. And on low energy days, I'm sure you've been there, those decisions won't get made well. The fix is removing the decisions. So training days planned at the start of the week, not figured out on the day when you feel like it. You want a handful of default meals you fall back on when you don't have the bandwidth to think about food or spend hours in the kitchen. A session structure you follow every time, so you walk into the gym knowing exactly what you're doing. When the decisions are already made, you don't need motivation to execute them. You just follow the plan. Layer 3, the adjust and continue mindset. This is the one that breaks the all or nothing cycle for good. Most people operate in binary. Either they're fully on it, training consistently, eating well, feeling good, or they've fallen off and they're waiting to restart. There's no sort of middle ground, no version of things have been a bit rough this week, but I'm still going to continue. The adjust and continue mindset changes that. So if you've missed a session, adjust, move it to tomorrow, or accept that this week is a 2-session week and just keep going. Had a rough few days with food, adjust. Get back to the simple rules at the next meal, not Monday. If your motivation's completely gone, adjust. Drop to your minimum. Take the pressure off. Just keep showing up. The one shift from I've fallen off, I need to restart, to things got hard, I adjusted and just kept going, is the difference between people who stay in shape long term and people who keep cycling in and out of it. Quick one before we keep going. If you want help actually building this kind of structure, the non-negotiables, the simple system, the consistency approach into your routine, I've got a completely free 7-day lock-in challenge linked below, which is exactly that. It's designed to prove to yourself that you don't need motivation to stay consistent. You just need the right structure. Right, back to it. So what does this actually all look like? So let me bring this back to my own experience for a sec. After the marathon, when I rebuilt my approach around structure rather than motivation, the thing that struck me most was how much mental space it freed up. When you're chasing motivation, there's this constant background noise. Am I doing enough? Should I be training more? I don't feel like going to the gym or doing a run today. Does that mean I'm losing discipline? That noise is not ideal and it's constant. When you've got a structure, whether that's 3 sessions, simple eating rules, decisions made in advance, that noise mostly disappears. You know what you're doing, you do it, you move on. Some days I train and I feel great. Some days I train and it's just fine. Some days I genuinely don't feel like being there and I just go anywhere. I do the work and I feel way better for it most of the time. Not because I manufactured motivation, because the structure meant the decision had already been made. That's what I want for you. Not the constant chase for a feeling that comes and goes. It's a system that runs whether the feeling is there or not. Because here's what I've found, both in my own training and with clients I've worked with over the past 10, 11 years. When you stop relying on motivation and start relying on structure, the motivation actually comes back on its own, not as the thing driving the whole machine. It's more of a byproduct of showing up consistently and seeing results. You feel good because you're consistent, not consistent because you feel good. If you've been waiting to feel motivated before you take action, I want you to hear this. The motivation isn't coming. Not in a reliable, sustainable way anyway. It never does. And the sooner you stop waiting for it, the sooner you can build something that actually works with your life. And this consistency stack gives you that. It's a non-negotiable minimum that keeps you in the game even during hard weeks. Decisions made in advance so you're not relying on willpower in the moment. And an adjust and continue mindset that means a bad week is just a bad week, not the beginning of another restart cycle. And you don't need to feel motivated to be consistent. You'll need a structure small enough and simple enough to survive the days when you don't. That's it. That's the whole thing. Now, if motivation has been the thing you've been waiting for, what we've covered today should change how you think about that completely. But here's where most people go next, and where another problem quietly shows up. Even with the right mindset and structure in place, there's something specific about how most people set up the training week that makes consistency harder than it actually needs to be. It's not about effort, it's not about motivation, it's a structural mistake that most people don't even realize they're making. I've got a video that covers exactly that somewhere over here. After today, it's the natural next step. Just go watch that next.